Hey guys, hope you are all having a great morning. Today we are going to take a deep look at Big Pharma's trickeries and malpractices which they use to keep on pumping prices for prescription medicine. Looking at their defense that new prescription medicine needs funds to bring innovative research is actually not adding up. I want to thank Ezekiel Emanuel for his amazing research and look into the matter at hand. His work inspired me to make this particular segment, so huge shout out to you. Before we start, let me quickly state that I am not a financial advisor, and that all content discussed in this channel is simply information gathered that I deem important for people to know, so that they can make informed decisions. All efforts are aimed to better understand the nature of the current market in anticipation of the greatest squeeze in financial history. Let's get started. Why is it that in the United States, pharmaceutical companies are allowed to charge patients outrageous amounts of money for prescriptions, most which are not even curative of diseases? Take abiraterone, which is a drug that is prescribed to patients who suffer from metastatic prostate cancer. The FDA initially approved the drug back in 2011 to allow patients who failed to respond to chemotherapy. This new drug does not cure anyone, and research into previously treated people with metastatic prostate cancer showed that the drug extends life by an average of only 4 months. Yet abiraterone still costs around $10,000 per month for patients. In 2017, Johnson & Johnson, the manufacturer and owner of the brand that makes the drug, had to justify the outrageous price to the United States. In a report called the 2017 Janssen U.S. Transparency Report, they state, and I quote, "We have an obligation to ensure that the sale of our medicines provides us with the resources necessary to invest in future research and development." Essentially, the high prices for their medications are justified because of the necessity to fund expensive research projects to generate new medications. If you have had time to look why medicine is so expensive in the United States, you will see this type of response from corporate, as it is the most standard and classic response they can come up with. Many people fall for this excuse, as it is easy to imagine the costs of research and development needed to make new and better treatment. As such, many people simply abide to the narrative that it is a situation where the outcome justifies the means, even when the means quite literally mean people dying from not being able to afford medicine. However, a deeper look into this justification for high prices will easily leave you scratching your head, because invoking research and all of its costs does not equate to the prices we see. Regardless of how willingly blind one might want to be, there is no reason why some medications should cost most than $120,000 every year. Some medications, like Zokinvy, cost a staggering $1 million a year. Zolgensma, which received FDA approval in 2019, has a one-time costs of $2.1 million for a course of treatment. The Department of Health and Human Services put some data together and came up with some figures. Americans spent more than $4,600 billion in medications back in 2016, 16.7% of the total healthcare spending cost. By contrast, other citizens of industrialized countries spend about 56% of the total that Americans spend on the exact same drugs. What is happening is that these medications have excessive prices, also being the biggest category of healthcare overspending in the United States compared to Europe. To make matters worse, the prices keep on growing, sometimes at higher rates than ever before. The Department of Health and Human Services estimates that over the next decade, the prices for medications will rise over 6% alongside other healthcare costs rising above 5.5%. These are some pretty scary figures, considering that Americans are finding themselves further strained by a decrepit economy. If you follow politics, you know that medication prices in the overall healthcare industry has become a major topic for concern. If you are running for president or Congress, you have to acknowledge that medication costs are too high and that we need something done to fix it. However, every time Congress holds a debate over this, the conversation and subsequent progress for any change is thwarted by advocacy groups which quickly start chanting about the fact that if prices are lowered, innovative research will be halted, which could lead us to missing the cure for cancer or Alzheimer's. Like I said, there is plenty of research that suggests these notions as being full of lies. Researchers at Memorial Sloan Kettering compared prices for medications by the top 20 best-selling manufacturers in the United States to the prices of Canada and Europe. The results were incredibly surprising as they were depressing. After accounting for the costs of all the research that these companies did, drug companies ended up having $40 billion more from just the top 20 medications alone, and all the excess money went directly to profits and not research. To make matters even worse, even more excess profits came from the next 200 brand-named medications, and all the extra money went directly to the pockets of the main beneficiaries at Wall Street. These parasitic drug companies love touting that they invest tons of money researching new breakthroughs in medication, but out of all the companies in the world, the only one that was found to invest the most in research and development was actually not even a drug company, it was Amazon. That's right, Jeff Bezos has his company spend over $20 billion a year in research and development. To make matters even stranger, among the 25 companies in the entire world that spend the most on research and development, only 7 of them are pharmaceutical manufacturers. 8 of them are automobile part companies with profit margins under 10%. Amazon is operating at a margin of less than 5% as of 2019. And yet with all these facts, the top 25 biggest pharmaceutical companies reported a healthy average operating margin of 22% by the end of 2017. As you can see, something is incredibly amiss with all this. You have Amazon, automobile companies and even some other companies in other sectors spend more money in research and development for better quality medicine than Big Pharma. Yet Big Pharma is the loudest of all when discussions start about making medicine a bit more affordable for people. An excuse that Big Pharma has been very vocal about is in saying that research for successful medicine is unsuccessful most of the time. This is true, as 90% of all drugs that enter human testing fail. However, what they do not mention is that most of these failures tend to happen around early phases of the testing at a relatively low cost. About 40% of drugs fail in preliminary phase 1 studies, which asses a drug's safety in humans. Of all the ones that enter this phase, 70% fail during the phase 2, which assesses whether a drug does what it's supposed to do. As you can see, everything they say is a half-truth or brazen lie. High costs for medications have 2 major bad effects. One is that the high cost means a lot of patients will be unable to take their medications. 25% of diabetic patients underuse their insulin. This is such a sad reality to contend with. The second major bad effect of high cost for medication is that high drug prices distort research priorities, because they emphasize financial gains and not health gains. Hundreds of cancer drugs are being tested on humans at a given moment, but the majority of these medications have very low promise, with little to no health gains. Sometimes they add weeks of life, something that leaves us scratching our heads as to why the drug was even made. There is little to no cures being made, leading people to correctly assess that the research and development being done is not aiming to find cures, but to treat the disease. All in all, the claims by Big Pharma that lower budgets for research and development will lead to us not finding cures is not substantiated, because most of the profits are being put in Wall Street's hands and the little investment they make on research and development is actually going to make relatively worthless or comparatively ineffective treatments for diseases like cancer, instead of looking for groundbreaking advancements to cure diseases. As of now, America stands in an incredibly embarrassing point in comparison to the world, where we having increasing numbers of people dying from being unable to buy medications, and we have big pharma corporations, with Wall Street investing in them, controlling the narrative by politicians by instilling fear with dishonest excuses that don't have a standing. A quick Google search pretty much renders everything they say as a half-truth or brazen lie. I hope to have opened some eyes into this problem. Once again, the hand of Wall Street manifests itself in the worst aspects of society, so I found it important to share this with you. Feedback is crucial here, so let me know your thoughts, or at the bare minimum if you can't do that, just hit the like so I know. A big shout out to Ezekiel Emanuel for inspiring me to make this video. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon link in the description as well as some one-time donation links for Cash App and PayPal. Thank you again for being a part of this channel. I will continue striving for better content. Hope you keep having a great day, and I hope to see you later today on the recap video. Until then, keep on buying the dip and to the moon.